Jennifer ONeal. I'm a math and science teacher development specialist here in the district. Welcome to HISD TV at Home. Today, our math focus is going to be on finding the area of rectangles, including squares, in a real-world situation. We're about to have a lot of fun today with rectangles. Before we begin with those rectangles, though, I want to make sure that you have a few things for the lesson. You may use a dry erase board. You can use a notebook. You can also use some blank pieces of paper, markers of any color, Now we're about to get started to do our notice and our wonder. I know you guys have did this with your teacher before, so we're going to play this game, what you notice and what you wonder. Behind me, I have some squares. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds, about 30 seconds, to look over what you notice and what you wonder. If you want to jot some things down, use your paper that I told you to get out earlier and jot some things down that you notice and that you wonder. Okay, I hope that you guys have some things that you notice and you wonder. Now, there are things that I noticed and that I wondered. So I'm going to write down some things that I noticed. As I looked and reviewed my squares, I have 3 squares here. And I noticed that they're all squares. So that is one thing that I noticed. I'm going to write that down. All squares. Because they are. They're all squares. There's some other things that I noticed too. Let's see if we all notice the same thing. I noticed that there's a difference. I see a difference. I see a difference that this inch here is larger than centimeters. So I know in my mind that inch is bigger than centimeters. I'm going to write that down. I noticed that. That's my second I noticed. Wow, those are some things that I noticed. Now, I wonder about some things too as I look and I review up here. And I know you guys wonder about some things too. And I hope you have some things jotted down on your piece of paper. So now I wonder, let me tell you what I wonder. There's one big thing that I really do wonder about. How in the world do they all look the same, but they're different in measurement? I'm going to write that down. They all look the same, but different in measurements. Wow, those are the things that I noticed. These are things that I wonder. I noticed that they're all squares, and then I noticed that the inch is larger than centimeters. I also noticed that not only that, my foot is larger than my inch. I'm going to add that on. I just noticed that when I was talking to you, that my foot is bigger than inch. Wow, I noticed some other things. I know you guys had some more things to add on too. And then I'm wondering, how they all look the same, but they're different in measurement. Today we're going to learn exactly why it's like that. I can't wait till we get started. Now let's dive into reviewing some vocabulary you're going to hear throughout today's learning. And I want to make sure that you understand you're going to be using some of it when you do the Let's Practice on your own. Our 3 vocabulary words for today is area, square unit, and unit. So we're going to start off with our picture. Our area is going to look a lot like this today when we're finding the area. We're going to be looking for the inside. We're going to be finding the area, the inside of rectangles today. Our definition for today is the number of square units needed to cover a given region. That's our definition for area. So now we have our vocabulary, our picture, and our definition. Square unit. Our square unit is going to look very similar to this today. Our definition of our square unit. A square with all sides 1 unit long and used to measure area of 2-dimensional shapes. Our last vocabulary word is unit. A unit, a single value used to measure objects. All right, if you would like, you could take a pause, put a pause on the video if you want to jot down the vocabulary and if you want to draw out what it means. So that way you can have it for later on when you do your practice on your own. All right, so let's review some things before we dive into today's lesson. First, we want to identify the square units that we're going to use today to find the area. And here's our square unit that we're going to use. Then next, what we want to do is we want to use the square units to cover the entire rectangle. Remember, there's no overlapping and there's no gaps. So here's the square unit, and here is me covering each one. So I'm going to take my marker and I'm just going to cover each one. And I'm going to pretend that I'm actually literally shading in fully. So that's going to be covered. That's going to be covered. That's going to be covered. 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 Covered completely. I'm going to just make sure that all that's covered. So now those are all of my square units. I basically have placed them all here, okay, inside of my rectangle. Finally, now we can count the square units we use to cover the rectangle to find the area. So let's get started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wow. Let's write this in a complete sentence. The area of the rectangle is 12 square units. This is what we're going to be doing a lot of practice of today, finding that area. So remember this strategy for today because we're going to be using that. Let's begin our practice for today. Before we begin though, I want us to review our 3-read strategy. Remember, we're going to use the 3-read strategy to problem solve for today. As I read the first time, I want you to think about what the story is about. As I read the second time, I want you to think about what is the question asking us for. The third time that I read, I want you guys to think about what you know and what you don't know. I'm also going to be writing some things down as we go through the problem. If you would like to pause the video, you may, so that you can write down some notes on your paper or in your notebook or your dry erase board. Let's begin. Our problem for today is, Mr. Tyson wants to retile the floor in his kitchen. He is using tiles that are 1 square foot. Mr. Tyson began by laying a row of tiles across and a column of tiles down the kitchen. As shown below, and you see my picture here. Here's my row and my column down. In square feet, what is the area of Mr. Tyson's kitchen? So now we want to think about. What is our story about? And we know we're going to write some things down. We know that our story is about a kitchen. We know it's about a kitchen. We also know that it's about laying down some tiles, completely covering the tile floor. So we know we're talking about a kitchen, and we know we're talking about some tile floor, and we know that we have 1 row already laid down, and we also have a column here. We also know that we also were given a key. We know each square is equal to that 1 square foot. So we know some things. We know what this story is about. Let's continue. Now I'm going to read it for the second time. Remember, when I read the second time, I want you to think about that question, okay? Mr. Tyson wants to retile the floor in his kitchen. He is using tiles that are 1 square foot. Mr. Tyson began by laying a row of tiles across a column of tiles down the kitchen, as shown in my picture here. In square feet, what is the area of Mr. Tyson's kitchen? So now we want to ask ourselves, what are they asking us for? So they're asking us for, what is the area of Mr. Tyson's kitchen? Question mark. So they're asking us, what is the area of Mr. Tyson's kitchen floor? So we know that we're finding the area, and we know some things too. So now I'm going to read for the third time. Now when I read the third time, I want you guys now to pay attention to what do you know and what you don't know. Let's begin. Mr. Tyson wants to retile the floor in his kitchen. He's using tiles that are 1 square foot. Mr. Tyson began by laying a row of tiles across and a column of tiles down the kitchen, as shown below. Here's my row across. Here's my column down. And I know each square foot is equal to 1. In a square feet, what is the area of Mr. Tyson's kitchen? So now we want to jot down, what do we know? And we want to say, I know. So we want to write down some things that we know. We know that, guess what? Each tile is 1 square foot. So I'm going to write square is equal to 1 square foot. I know that. That is what I know. We also know that he has already laid down a row in one column. We already know that. What is it that I don't know? I don't. What is it that we don't know? We don't know the area. Remember, we always go back to that question. What is the area of the kitchen floor? So I'm going to write that down. I don't know the area of the kitchen floor. I don't know the area of the kitchen floor. So that is what I'm going to find for today. We're about to use our strategies from earlier that we use in order to find the square units. Alrighty, now we did our 3-read strategy. We've also reviewed the things that we know, what we're looking for, and the things that we don't know. So now we're going to take all of that, and now we're going to solve for Mr. Tyson's floor. But before we do that, I want to review something really quick. We all know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. A square foot would be a square that is 12 inches on each side. We will use the square to model a square foot today. Remember though, a real square foot would be much larger. Let's begin today by filling in Mr. Tyson's kitchen with a square foot tile. This is how he gave it to us. He gave us what he had and what he started off with. He has 11 in a row and he has 6 in each column. Now I took that and now I have created his floor, but I still don't know the area. So I want you guys to help me find the area. Now, let's make sure that he does have that 11. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He does. Let's make sure that he has the 6 going down in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He does. So now we're off to a great start in order to solve for the area. So we're going to use our addition strategy today. And the addition strategy that we're going to use is we're going to do our repeated addition strategy to find the area. Because we see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows down, and we have 11. So all we have to do is literally do repeated addition. We can repeat and add 11 6 times. So to find the area of Mr. Tyson's kitchen, I can add 11 6 times. 11 plus 11 plus 11 plus 11 plus 11 plus 11. Literally, or I could use my doubles. There are 2 strategies that I could do. I could do my repeated addition, or I can also use my doubles. I know that 11 plus 11 is 22. Another 11 plus 11 is another 22. 11 plus 11 is 22. So man, I'm using my doubles to help me to count. Then I know 22 plus 22 is 44. Wow, and then I add another 22 to that 44. That gives me 66. I also use repeated addition, plus I also use my double strategy to help me to add. So now the area of Mr. Tyson's kitchen is 66 square. Everybody got that with me? 66 square feet. Good job. That was us just doing our own strategy, our addition strategies. There's another way that I do want us to check it though. So let's make sure that we counted everything correctly, that we did our addition strategies correctly. Now what I want to do is I want to actually complete and fill in each square. Let's get to counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. We're almost there. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, and 66. We were correct. This is awesome. We used 3 strategies today. We started off with repeated addition, and then we realized we could use our doubles to add. And then we said, okay, I know it's 66 square feet for him to complete his kitchen floor, but I also want to make sure I'm correct. And then now I want to fill it in, and I want to count by my ones to make sure that I was correct. And I was. I got 66 both times. So we know that Mr. Tyson, the area of Mr. Tyson's kitchen floor is 66 square feet. Now it's your turn to practice on your own. You may want to pause or take a picture for use after the video. Today we cover finding the area of rectangles. Don't forget though, before you begin your practice, I want you to also implement using your 3-read strategy. Now I'm going to read your word problem for today. Mrs. Rodriguez wants to put carpet in her classroom. She buys carpet squares that are 1 square foot. She begins installing the carpet as shown below. Mrs. Rodriguez wants to cover her entire classroom with carpet. What is the area of Mrs. Rodriguez's classroom? And here's your picture already shown below along with your key. Now, if you need more assistance with today's activity, I want you to reach out to your teacher. Thank you for tuning in to HIAT TV.